We are on my side here, so I think so.
Yeah, we're live now. Perfect.
Awesome. So thank you everybody for turning up today. And yeah, if everyone's watching this live or watching it later, if you have any questions while we're going through, Carlos will keep an eye. You can pop those in. So we've got Christine from New Zealand, Heidi in New Zealand, Outs in Sydney, I think. Jennifer in the Philippines, we were chatting earlier. Daniel, where are you, Daniel?
United States.
US. Good for you,
Yeah.
mate. Peter, I'm not sure where you are, Peter, either. And Out is in New Zealand. Alt in New Zealand as well. Hey guys, so welcome today and special guest today, Mo. Thanks for coming, mate.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, mate.
Thanks for having me. Yep.
You're very welcome, mate. I think people are very interested in what you have to say. So I'll get you to introduce yourself in a second, Mo, and explain who you are and what you do. But I sort of known you, I guess, through Facebook for a while, and you do some cool stuff with JHL and plugins and stuff like that. And the first time that I kind of seen you a bit in the forums, I guess, a few times in the high level forum, and then the first time, oh, sorry, I'm just gonna let in. There's Kerry join as well. Hey, Kerry, welcome, mate. Um, yeah, the first time I sort of connected with you, you put something really cool in the forums, and it was to do with real estate. I can't remember exactly what it was. The thing was to do with real estate and helping agents to price a property. And I think you had a chat bot or a form that would collect the address. And then once the address got collected, you had this cool script that ran through and it would grab a picture from Google Street View, I believe it was, of the front of the house. And then it would send that through to the person, like in an automation, like from the agent,
Mhm.
saying, "Oh, hey, thank you very much for your inquiry about such and such property. Just confirming this is your property." And I was like, "Damn, that's cool." And because we did some stuff with estimators, and we had
Mhm.
a way that we could kind of plug that into our estimators. So I'm just letting a few other people in, Jesse and Jiva. Um, so we went to plug it into our estimators, and because you put a video in and like you shared all that in a Loom on how you'd done it exactly. And I just remember like we did it and I was like, that's so cool. And I just messaged you to say, hey, thanks so much. That was so awesome. And you were just like so casual about it. You're like, yeah, no worries, man. And I was like, but I think that's the way that you are in is that like you provide some massive value in the high level forum that I've seen, but you're so casual about it, mate. You're just like this little, yeah, that's cool. This is just a thing that I do. So
Yeah, the thing is, I just want to say this, like around that time, and even now, like most of the features that we built, we were solving our own issues. So even though we ended up selling them as a suite of products, all of them were like, because I used to be in the real estate industry and I had clients, and later when I moved into SaaS, most of the people that use my SaaS were also agents. And we're like, how do we make this home value estimator thing not be a bait and switch? Because that's what it used to be. People opted in to get a value of their house and then they'd see nothing. They're like, "Hey, we'll reach out to you." So we created automation that actually delivered what we were talking about. But yeah, sorry to interrupt you there. But yeah, a lot of the
no,
stuff was solving our own uh, itch, and then so whenever we could help people, just give it out for free.
yeah, no, so it's super cool. So we were really grateful to you, and I just remember connecting with you then, and then just seeing some of your other stuff, and I know since then we've just kind of chatted about a few things, and then you also created the phone number verifier before high level put that in as standard. So that was kind of you built that into forms as well as part of your suite of tools.
Yep.
So if you want to explain some of the other things you do, so you run GHL Essentials, you have a suite of cool tools. We'll put a link to that somewhere when this is all done. So if people want to go and check it out,
Yep.
obviously go and check out what you do. But please just give us a bit of an intro about you and what you do.
For sure. Yeah. Hey guys, my name is Mo. I run GHL Essentials, and I also run this new company called Duck CRO. Uh, both of which are tools that help people that use high level increase conversions. So GHL Essentials is more of a broader spectrum of tools that help a bunch of other people, a bunch of different people in different industries. Duck CRO is more for coaches. Um, but yeah, we've been doing this since August 2022. Prior to that, we used to build custom features. But prior to that, I had my own agency. I was coding stuff into my own high level to solve, problems for my own agents. And prior to that, I ran one of the fastest growing companies in Toronto. And so a lot of my background is in marketing that then, kind of transformed into programming because that's a skill I learned somewhere along the line. And so I mixed the two, and then I was able to come out with these marketing technology solutions. And so that's where I am today. Some of you, I'm not sure if people from my network or you guys have heard of me are on this call, but like Connie was commenting on the post. So Connie and a couple of other people know me from the real estate world, where at one point we had the highest success rate in the industry in terms of results. So 95 to 98% of people that joined our programs got closings and whatnot, which was unheard of back then. We were ahead of most of the people. And yeah, that's where kind of my background lies. And I have a thing, and I also built the phone number verification feature for high level. And most of the people that use that feature were people that were doing multi-million dollars a year. And so I've seen their campaigns, I've seen what works and what doesn't work. So I have a bit more insight on what works and what doesn't. So I was like, why not hop on and share some stuff with you guys? Me hopping on here has nothing to do with pitching any of my products, because honestly, I don't know if they would be good for you. It was specifically because me and Gary were talking about some phone number verification feature with my CRM sim, and he's like, hey, I'm having this thing. You want to join? So I was like, yeah, sure. And then so I threw a quick presentation today just to give you guys some of the stuff that I've learned along the way, and hopefully that helps you guys kind of market better. One of the things that I'm very excited about here is that a lot of you guys previously could not run SMS campaigns. So the fact that you can do it now is like, it just opened up a massive channel, not only in terms of getting clients where you can stand out from other people by offering this, but also just like the additional revenue you can bring for your clients and for yourself from this channel is crazy. So I just want to give you some tips and tricks on how to kind of do that now that you have this as a channel.
Yeah, and so yeah, we've got a few people on here from New Zealand that can't get phone numbers from Twilio. And Jennifer, who I was chatting to this morning, who's in the Philippines, Jennifer told me this morning, and you just clarify for me, this was only an hour ago you told me this, Jennifer, so I'm pretty sure I haven't got this wrong. It's, if you're using Twilio or Lead Connector, it's like $1 an SMS in the Philippines.
Yep.
Like that. It's crazy.
And a phone number is extremely expensive. Yeah.
$1, like I nearly
Everything.
fell off my chair when we were talking this morning.
Yeah.
$1. So yeah, if you do that through a SIM plan, it's going to be so different. So yeah, so the opportunities for people to actually utilize SMS in a cost-effective way are just incredible, basically. So Mo, yeah, when we were talking about some technical things and that, and then I know what you've done, sort of your history in the past, and you were saying how you'd really refined some SMS campaigns and sort of tweaked that. So we're like, yeah, cool. Would you mind coming along and sharing your knowledge? Which thank you for agreeing to do so. So you said you put something together, which I haven't seen. So this will be good. Do you want to share screen and dive into that? And if anyone's got any questions as we go through, either pop them in the chat or pop your hand up, or we can. You don't mind if people just ask questions as we go, or do you want to just wait till the end?
You can ask questions, but I'll probably address them at the end,
Yeah,
so that I can just get through them pretty
Cool.
quick. Now, please don't judge the presentation. I had to like put it together pretty quickly. So this presentation is going to be it's not something I've practiced, or even the slides, they're just all over the place. But I just want to put something that's what's called that you guys can consume, in a structured manner. So that's why I thought I'd get a slideshow up. So so I'm going to dive right in. This is going to be a pretty short presentation. I'm going to run through it, and then you guys can keep adding your questions in the chat. It's going to be quick because there's not much to tell you here. If I give you the basics, you guys are going to get amazing results. Okay, cool. So I see Heidi here says, no judgment, safe space.
It's a safe space. It's only going out to everyone, but
Yeah. Okay, cool. So we're going to go over SMS campaigns that convert. My name is Mo Zee, and some of you guys might be wondering, who am I and why should you listen to me? I've already given you why you should listen to me. I've seen all these campaigns before. I've had a very successful real estate marketing agency that used SMS campaigns. Even though a lot of the conversions there happened through phone calls, and we still recommend that in the US. But we've also worked with a bunch of people that you might have know of, like AdHacks, 8Loop, Gymlaunch. These people use our software, and so we know a thing or two about the stuff we're talking about. So if you can choose not to listen to me if you want to get bad results, okay? But jokes aside, let's dive in. So I'm just going to talk about some statistics, then we're going to go into the basics of SMS sequences, then we're going to get into how to get the best results, and then we're going to get into Q&A. So I want to give you a legal disclaimer and a cautionary disclaimer as well. If you're not careful, you and your clients can get fined very high amounts. At least this is the case in the US. I'm not sure what the rules are where you may be in New Zealand, Australia, elsewhere. But in the US, you can get fined like $1,000 per SMS or more. And I was telling Gary the other day that there was a guy that used to sell a course on how to make 10K a month by suing people that cold texted you. So I don't know who the guy is. I tried to look him up before hopping on here. I couldn't find him, but if you guys know who I'm talking about, drop him in the chat. I'd love to pull his landing page back up. But also seek legal counsel for accurate advice. I'm just sharing this for educational purposes. None of the stuff I mentioned here actually falls under spam or anything like that, but I'm just saying be careful with what you do and try to stay away from cold SMS that people haven't opted in for.
Very good
Cool.
point.
So now that that's out of the way, I want to run you through some stats. So when it comes to SMS marketing, there is no other what's it called, competitor, or even anything that comes close. Not even WhatsApp comes close in terms of open rates. Okay, so it has very high open and click-through rates. And here it says, I put in here 98% open rate. And by the way, I had to go and search up what the accurate numbers are and have them in here. We used to just consider it as 100%. Slowly, this number is decreasing now because most modern phones like now have filter for spam, right? So if a number is marked as spam a lot, it just appears as spam. So now it's 98%, but you should just assume it's 100%. 100% of the messages that you're sending out are being opened by your clients. So it's like, if they're being open, like I can, if I put in the right stuff in there, I can get the desired action, like the desired result that I want, which is amazing, right? It's not like email. Also, it has a 19% CTR, which is 19%, by the way, is kind of on the lower end. And that's obviously significantly higher than 4% of emails, which is actually on the higher end for emails, right? The average email campaign I've heard is like 3%, 2% when they're doing mass emails. So that's that. As far as ROI goes, in the retail and e-commerce sectors, companies are generating an average of $71 for every dollar spent on SMS marketing. And that makes sense. We've actually seen that in the real estate world. Like, you need to understand, when we were running our real estate marketing agency, you're selling like the cost of SMS and even the cost for leads that were generated versus you selling a house and getting like a $10,000 commission. The results are crazy in terms of return on ad spend. And then also consumer preferences, which is 80% of consumers prefer to engage with brands via SMS over other social media, right? They prefer to engage over email, Facebook, all that. Now, in some places you might be at, people might prefer WhatsApp business over SMS. Like SMS actually costs some money in some areas, and that's where like WhatsApp takes over. But mostly in the US and everywhere else, like where SMS is very cheap, people prefer to communicate over SMS. And spam deliverability is awesome as well. Like less than 3% of SMSs are ever marked as spam, right? When was the last time you marked an SMS as spam that some company sent to you? Probably, I don't know. I've never done that personally. All right. Actually, I did that once. I had to block a number. I don't know if that marks it as spam. But compared to like 50% of emails, and that makes SMS way more reliable. So again, I want you to think from this perspective of like, if you have 100% open rate, right? Think of the possibilities. And that's why this slide exists. Why do these stats matter? Because most people take SMS marketing for granted, right? When A2P happened, I was looking back and I was like thinking to myself, I was like, dude, all that wasted time. I should have marketed way more on SMS, like 100% over. And then the A2P stuff happened. Now I can't have links and I can't have this and that. And there's more likelihood of my SMS being blocked by a carrier or being marked as spam. So you need to understand that like the position you're in where you have this new channel that just opened up, don't take it for granted, especially the fact that you are not going through, if you're using my CRM SIM, you're not going through the 12-year regulations or whatnot, right? But even if you are using Twilio and you are using, through A2P or whatnot, you need to understand that SMS marketing is taken for granted the most. I've never seen it. I know people that run more email campaigns than SMS campaigns, and emails barely have any open rates compared to SMSs. So if you get one thing out of this is get the fact that like SMS marketing is your key to a lot of conversions, especially if you're dealing with local clients. It can be amazing. Now we're going to go into how to write copy and stuff, like the basics of copy and stuff. But just know that like if you have a channel that has 100% open rate, why would you take email or some other channel over it? You think it makes sense, but it doesn't. You want to send SMSs out as much as you can. Not as much as you can in terms of frequency, whenever you can, whenever it's appropriate. And I'm going to run through the frequency of when to send it as well. So let's dive in. We're going to dive into the basics of SMS marketing. Okay. And so the key to SMS marketing is understanding your audience. So the more personalized your messages, the more likely it gets a desired response, right? But because personalization decreases at scale, segmentation becomes important, right? So when you segment your list based on past behavior, lead sources, demographics, it allows you to bring that personalization back at scale, right? So when you when you take your list and you segment them by male and female, and then when you're sending out your campaigns, you have it in mind that like this SMS is going out to females and it's written a certain way, and it's going out to males and it's written a certain way. You're trying to pull back that personalization as much as you can, right? So a pro tip is use qualifying data that's collected from lead forms as ammo in your SMS copy. And also killer businesses, the ones I've seen that like do really well with SMS, they actually collect personal data in person, right? And so like you have a dentist. If I go to the dentist's office and I'm talking to the dentist, I'm saying different things. He's keeping that in mind and telling that to his staff, and they're adding that into custom fields that are then used in later follow-ups, and it becomes crazy. So I'm going to give you some examples in a bit of what that looks like.
Can I pause you for 1 second there?
Yeah.
With that? So this is an important thing as well for people when they're sending SMS using SIM card systems with my CRM SIM, because if you have to think as well, like sending out text messages through a phone, if you send out basically the same message, if you're doing a campaign and I'm just sending out, hey Mo, would you be interested in our offer on XYZ? And then the next one I send is, hey Carlos, would you be interested in our offer on XYZ? Hey Christine, would you be interested in our offer on XYZ? Right, it's the same message over and over again. That to a SIM carrier looks like spam anyway, because who sits there and sends the same message over and over and over and over and over again, right? So personalization is really important in terms of like getting your message across and delivering good value. It's also really important in terms of like varying content and text when you're using a SIM provider to make sure that you get those messages through and don't end up getting SIM cards blocked. Because when we talk about this stuff, and this is something that's important for people to understand, that you have to follow some slightly different guidelines when you're sending out messages through a SIM card to what you can do with Twilio, where you can just like write a message, blast it out, job done. Like you have to just take a little bit of extra care in terms of like the way that you drip those out. So we do have some stuff on that, but I think that's an important thing for people to understand. And again, why doing this personalization is so important, because you can vary that text message with specific information to each person as well, which makes them different again. So we've got snapshots and other things for people to help them with that, but that is a really important consideration when using a SIM card to send out SMS messages.
Yeah, and you can think of that limit as not a limit, but actually a guideline for sending good text messages. Like your SIM cards force you to send a message as a human, which is personalization, right?
Yep.
And so the more personalized it is, the better responses you're going to get. This is across the board, right? So I'm going to get into some copy basics. All right. So number one is you have to be clear, direct, right? Have you ever like ignored a paragraph message from your friends or family, or maybe like a girlfriend or a boyfriend? Like they send you like a paragraph, and you open the message, but you see that it's a paragraph, and you're like, I'll check it out later, whatever that is. Now imagine getting a paragraph from a stranger. Like when will you have time to ever see that? If you can do that to your friends and family, like what would happen if a stranger were to send you that? You would ignore it entirely. Right? I don't know if you'd ever get back to it. Even if there was an open rate, right? You opened the thing, but you didn't really care about what was in it, because people they don't want to read the entire thing. So Be clear and direct. Keep them short. Keep it short. And we're gonna get into keeping things conversational in a second. But yeah. So just be clear and direct, and don't send paragraphs. All right. So also use urgency in messages with call to actions. Whenever you're sending a call to action, try to include urgency as much as possible. Otherwise, you're literally like you're ruining your kind of chances for a click through. All right. And in fact, like not a click through, but a call to action. And the text that you have call to actions in, they like you need to kind of they need to make sense. You can't just keep on sending call to actions. I'm going to show you what that looks like in a second. But just remember, when you do end up sending a call to action, text have urgency in it that gets people to act. Otherwise, they can go like, hey, I'll just get back to this thing whenever I can. And that's really not the best way to send call to actions. So always try to include urgency. Urgency is one of the best mental triggers to get people going. All right. Next, when following up with old or cold leads, prompt a response and start a conversation, right? And try to always use ammo. So don't like just send just randomly send an SMS out, go like, hey, book a call with me, or go to our thing and buy a thing. Like always try to prompt a response with an old or cold lead. And I'm gonna show you an example of that soon. And always try to use ammo when you're trying to, prompt a response. Not, hey, John, how are you? That's not a good prompting response. Try to use ammo that you might have already gone from your surveys, or maybe this is the previous customer that's come in, or you've had a conversation with the lead before. Try to use the ammo that you've gone from that, the data points you've gone from that, to make it more personalized to them. And always be careful using CTAs. What do you call? So I already mentioned why using CTAs is also bad if you always use them. But also, when you include links in your CTAs, you can be marked as spam, and you can also have lower deliverability over time. So be careful with that. So this is what I was kind of referring to earlier, right? So on the left is a message I got from my dental clinic, right? Which was, hi Mo, I'm reaching out as you do for a dental cleaning. Please call us or book online via this, right? Now, they send this every 6 months or whatever, and I never book it. I never do that. I only go to them when I have a problem. I have an aching tooth or whatever that is, right? So this is them kind of sending a mass broadcast message and not being personal, not using ammo, right? They're trying to just get people in for a dental cleaning because they think that this is best practice in the industry, which is getting people for recurring cleanings. That's how they make money from returning customers, right? And when you go in there, they're like, oh, I see that you need a filling or whatever. But this is just not a good way to get someone to come in. This is not a good message. A better message, by the way, my dentist, his name is Dr. Iyer. And so on the left, that's his office sending me a message. And on the right is an example of how they could have changed this, right? They could have changed this to, hey, Mo, this is Dr. Iyer. Is your upper left tooth still aching? Right? And that is very personalized because I would have told him that in my meeting with him when I was fixing some other tooth, right? And he would have x-rayed it and he would go like, hey, yeah, there's a thing here, right? But I didn't get it fixed back then. But he had that data and he stored it in these custom. He told his team this was an issue. You're building a profile of people, right? And you can segment them: pain in tooth, pain in left tooth, pain in upper left tooth. These are like, this might sound advanced to you, but if you just have these key practices and you also coach your clients on just collecting as much personal data as they can and storing it for later ammo use, it does end up working out. It might sound like far-fetched for you guys, but it's not. Just you got to coach your clients on just getting a bit of data, and you got to set your systems up so that you can store that data the right way. Okay, but I'm gonna stop rambling on how you do this. I'm gonna show you what I just want to ask you in the chat, by the way. So I'm gonna show you what the continuation of the chat on the right looks like in a second. But in the chat, can you drop a 1 for if you would rather prefer the one on the left, or 2 for the one on the right? Which one would you rather receive from your dentist? Where they say, hey, Mo, this is Dr. Iyer, or hey, John, this is Dr. Iyer. Like, are you still having this issue, or, whatnot? Or would you rather just see a blank text that went out to like 100 other people, right? So I'm going to look at the chat.
Definitely,
yeah, a lot of people saying
twos have it,
right?
man. Yeah.
Exactly. So what this convo would look like continued on the convo on the right is this right here. So hey Mo, this is Dr. Iyer. Is your upper left tooth still aching? Yes, I think it got worse. Because that's like, if he's your dentist and you haven't been there to fix the upper tooth aching, it's likely gone worse. But the person's either going to say yes to you or he won't respond. But the point is, like, you're actually, like, this is your best chance for a response versus like a dental cleaning thing. Okay. And so I go like, yes, it's gotten worse. And then he could say something like, oh, sorry to hear that. The reason why I was reaching out was because we currently have a promo offer on root canals where you can get a root canal for 25% off. I remember that you had a weak tooth, so I thought I'd reach out. The promo ends on the 18th. If you're available, I can book you in for tomorrow or Thursday. Right? Now, compare this conversation to the message that they sent. What do you think? Just like, what do you think it has a higher chance of response, given that you could do this at scale? I know it sounds very personal. I know it sounds as if the doctor has to sit at the text at the messaging box. But given that this was scalable, which one do you think would get more response? One for the old one or two for this one in the chat?
Definitely getting
Exactly.
twos, mate. Definitely.
So I want to give you an example of
adjustable footrest.
Don't think we need an adjustable footrest. Sorry, I'll mute.
okay. So now I want to go into, like, if the dental office wants to sell dental cleanings, right? What do they do for that? Well, they go back to their CRM and they look at their ammo, right? And then they send some message like this out, right, to the person that actually needs a tooth cleaning. I mean, what the hell is this? I don't know why it's this way. Anyways, I'm gonna ignore this. So the doctor reaches out. Hey, Mo, this is Dr. Iyer. Just wanted to ask, are your gums still bleeding? Right? And the reason why I say this message is because most people that, you know, desperately need a cleaning, a cleaning is needed, are those that have never had many cleanings before, and a lot of tartar, I think that's what it's called, is built up,
Yeah.
and their gums start bleeding, right? And so they're the people that are most in need of this. And so this person that's being texted here has either been through the dentist previously, where they were there for a cleaning and they cleaned a bit, some of their teeth, right? To get some of the plaque off, because sometimes you have to do this in two sittings, right? I was one of those people where they cleaned the bottom, but they didn't clean the top, right? Or they went for some other treatment and told the doctor, like, when I eat, my teeth bleed or whatever, right? My gum bleed, right? My gums bleed. But in this case, we're going to assume that they went there for a previous tooth cleaning and only half of them were clean, right? So, hey, this is Dr. Iyer. Just wanted to ask, are your gums still bleeding? Yeah, but not as much as they used to, right? That's great to hear. The teeth cleaning worked its charm, assuming that my previous appointment was also a teeth cleaning, right? And then they sent a second message. This says, the reason I was reaching out was because we have a promo offer on teeth cleanings where you can get a dental cleaning for 25% off. I remembered that you had bleeding gums, so I thought I'd reach out. The promo ends on the 18th. If you're available, I can book you in for tomorrow or Thursday and remove the rest of the plaque that's still causing the bleeding. You're sending these messages out with solutions to personal problems, to problems that actually matter to them, not some random problems, right? And what's interesting is dentists run teeth cleaning offers online anyway. So to give 25% off to an existing customer is not that big of a deal, right? But this is the type of campaigns that actually get people to respond and get people to take action. Look, like, we had a call to action in this thing, but we had urgency. The promo ends on the 18th, right? And again, this type of outreach is also a win-win. It's a win for you because you're reaching out to your clients and possibly getting the customer come back, but it's a win for them because they're getting 25% off. Versus, hey, you're due for a teeth cleaning. Come in. I'm like, how do you know I'm due for a teeth cleaning, bro? Like, how do you know?
The part I love in there, Mo, that you've done as well, which is something that I tell people or try to teach people all the time as well. And you said it very quickly, so I want to make sure that everybody caught that. Is because you've sent out the first message, they've replied, you've done a short response. That's great to hear. The teeth cleaning works its charm. And then it's a second message after that. This isn't one message, right? You're sending two messages, which looks way more personal as well, because, you know, people send in short messages, right? So that's something we always try and teach people to do, is like break your messages up into chunks. And when you're using a SIM card, you don't have to worry about that cost per segment. Basically, it doesn't matter. You can break your messages up into these shorter, more personalized messages. So we do that in workflows, and like on scale, if you're doing something like this, we you can do that through a bot or whatever, but like we could do that with a simple wait step, like you send out the first response, wait 5 seconds, and then send out the follow-up part to that as well. So breaking these messages up is just another really good way of having automation on scale that looks personal, because a person sends 2 messages, a bot, and the way that a lot of people do this, and I see it time and time again when they're using Twilio and then they move over to using a SIM card, is they're used to kind of chunking everything to like a big block message. They're like, I've got to just get this message out, and generally trying to get it in one segment of 158 characters. But yeah, breaking it apart is just such a good way of personalizing automation, and people don't realize it's coming from a platform basically. So I just want to make sure everybody kind of caught that, because you did mention it there, and it's an important, really important.
I also
step.
mentioned it earlier on. Like, I wouldn't read a paragraph from my family and friends. Like, I'm not going to be reading it from a stranger. So so divide that stuff up. 100%. So so by the way, this stuff that I'm telling you here, you can actually copy it over to email as well. The more personalized your email, the more likely it's going to get opened, the more likely people are going to take action. Like, I've literally seen this with cold email. We recently started doing a personalized cold email campaign, and the results are phenomenal versus the cold emails we used to send when I used to have a real estate marketing agency. The results are absolutely different. And I wish I'd known what I know now earlier, right? The more you make it personal, the better it gets, especially when it comes to SMS, because that's like, you have 100% open rate. It's like you can get so much out of it, and it's only going to go down, right? Like, it used to be 100, now it's 98, right? It's only going to keep going down. People, like, A2P came out, whatever it came out, like, things are going to get filtered out down the line. Things are going to get worse. So take advantage of this while you can. Don't take it for granted. So other stuff here with SMS copy basics: do not try to include any links, right? Use links where it makes sense, right? Where the offer is very good and the urgency is high, right? So in this case, an example is someone that opted into a Black Friday offer but never signed up or bought the product. You send them a text saying, hey, the Black Friday sale ends in 48 hours, and there are only 4 more things available. This is the last chance to get 50% off the product. Here's the checkout link. You can do that, and people are actually more receptive to links around those times. So if you're in, like, not just links, also SMS. So if you send someone like 5 texts today, they're gonna try to block your number or whatever. But if you send someone 5 texts on Black Friday, they wouldn't mind it as much. This is something we've seen, we've actually tested, and yeah. So and also remember, links can get you marked as spam. I mentioned that earlier.
We always break those out again into like 2 texts. So we would put that, so get the message in the inbox first, and then you can say, here's the link, and then send the link as a second text after. So get in their inbox first, because you can, like you said, you still can get marked as spam when you got links. So get the message in first and then get the link in is what we try to do.
Yep. So these were the basics. If you just follow this, by the way, you're pretty much 80% there. Just follow what I've mentioned here. You're 80% there in terms of personalization and whatnot. Now, what I'm going to mention here is timing and frequency. This is meant to be stacked on top of what I've mentioned, stacked on top of the basics, right? And the reason why is because timing and frequency, what we're discussing here is kind of gimmicky. Like, it doesn't work without having the fundamentals down, all right? But in order to kind of get your campaigns working better, you can use timing, primarily the timing part, to kind of boost your campaign a bit, right? Which is, if you were to send messages on Tuesdays and Saturdays, you're going to probably get a higher engagement and conversion rate. This is stuff that's across the board. One thing I forgot to mention is all of the stats that I've given you are from reputable sources: Reach Interactive, Textedly, OmniSend. I didn't include these here because no one's heard of these sources, right? If I had it was HubSpot, I would have had HubSpot here because you'd know what that is, right? But the point is that so these stats are from the internet, and they're like Tuesdays and Saturdays are generally what works best. Tuesdays high engagement, Saturdays high conversion rate. I personally have not found this in my campaigns, in the campaigns I've observed from other people. What I have found is that point right here, right there. Lunchtime and 8 p.m. is a very good time for people to open and respond, because that's when they're free, they're not occupied by work, and they're just done with dinner, they're done with their day. Those are good times to kind of send SMSs out and expect a response. And then weekdays 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. and 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. is pretty much addressing the same thing, which is when are people most likely to be free. people usually open their emails and check their notifications around this time, so you're more likely to get a response. They're usually more caught up with work in the middle of the day, and then by evening they're getting off work, so they have more time to reply, right? The weekends are a great time to send messages. Weekends, I've noticed, so they say that 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Is what they've noticed is an ideal time on Saturday and Sunday, and 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. is ideal on Sunday. What I've noticed is between 12 to 2 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday both work, and something early on, like not too late in the evening on Sunday also works. So basically, if you just stick to this, right, on all days of the week, you'll be fine. But I just had to add this in here if you want to kind of really optimize yourself and follow what the data really says. But if you were to just follow this, you're going to notice an increase in response rate or open rates, given that you follow the basics. If you send a blast out that sucks, it doesn't matter what time you send them at, you're not going to get a response, right?
Don't send it at midnight, right?
Honestly, dude, people have responded to midnight stuff as well, because we had automations for solar real estate that were just set up so that when someone opts in, they get a text. And if they opt in at 2 a.m., send them a text at 2 a.m., right? And people respond to it as well, and not get pissed off. Other people will wait till the morning and wait for a follow-up message to respond. But we've never gotten a message that the user had prompted, like by opting in, and they got an auto text late at night that pissed them off. So also late night texts work pretty well on things like Black Friday, Christmas, all this stuff, because that's when it's ending, right? 11:59 p.m. Is when the offer ends, so you can text late around then as well. But optimal times is 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. or 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. and 8 p.m. If you just follow that.
Those auto ones, what we like to do on our campaigns is we would have like an auto one. So if it's like 12 midnight, 2 a.m., whatever, we like to have like an auto one that gets back to them straight away. It says, hey, thank you for opting in. We make it look like an automated one, because people are smart and they know if it came that quickly, they're smart. They know it's automated.
Yeah.
But you've just connected to them and you've given them the next step. And then we'll take that to 8 a.m. the next day to the automation, where it's then an automated follow-up. But then it's like, hey, it's Gary here. I just got your details. You inquired about whatever it might be, and do it that way. So we always try to have like that automated text first as the immediate follow-up, because people are still smart. They know that generally that someone didn't reply to me that quickly.
Yeah.
And that's something that we try to get into our campaigns.
Yep. But yeah, that's timing and frequency. Again, you can skip all of this if you don't want to do the basics. If you don't do the basics, none of this matters. Like I said, if you're sending out really bad messages, timing and frequency won't help you out. To me, it's almost a gimmick. Like if you get the fundamentals down, that's 80% of your results. This can boost a bit more, your campaign a bit more. Also, yeah, frequency. So that's important. Frequency is pretty important. So for service-based businesses, it's best to SMS once a week or less. Okay. Honestly, there's no reason why a dentist office should be messaging me every week, right? Or any small business should be messaging me every week. So it's not like the frequency should be once a week or less. I don't even think once a week is enough. So the best way to think about frequency, in my opinion, and this is what I've seen work, and you guys can test it out, and I'm going to get to testing in a second, but the best thing that I've seen is promos. Promos are just a great way to structure your campaign. If you look at like very famous brands versus other small businesses, and you look at like how they send emails, you realize that like makeup brands and all these very famous brands that men and women use like on as a returning customer, they usually only send out messages as special offers. Get 10% off, get 20% off. Like it's rarely like, or it could be like, check out our new product, but it's rarely anything other than special offers. It's because again, it's a win-win. It's like, hey, I'm reaching out because this is actually good for you. It's not just come buy something for me. I'm reaching out because I have a deal for you, and it's good for you, and you already buy our other stuff. Here's the deal, right? So thinking from a perspective of promos, where you do a promo every 2 months, every quarter, and thinking from that perspective, like we mentioned here with the dentist, so he does a promo say every 2 months. It makes sense. Like it's giving people incentive to take action. Now, obviously, you don't want to send out promos every week, right? Hey, we have 25% off. That's no longer a promo. So I look at like promos have been very powerful for us, like having this period of, I call them launches. So every 2-3 months, we'll do a launch. Like we'll send a message out with a special offer and with high urgency, and just a bunch of people will take it. And it's a great way to just get customers coming in clusters rather than sending weird dental cleaning messages that might get one customer here, one customer there. So promos have worked out really well for us. I'm not sure if you've used promos in the past, the way I'm talking about it, where you only reach out to people, primarily through a promotion way. Just drop it in the chat. Let me know what your experience was. We can talk about it afterwards in the Q&A. But promos are a great way to structure SMS campaigns and even email campaigns. Cool. So tracking metrics. Open rates don't matter when you text, right? You have almost 100% open rate. The rate at which people take a desired action is what really matters. So that's the response rate and the click-through rate. The industry averages on response rates on SMS are 20% to 45%, right? Click-through rates is 21% to 36%, and the average opt-out rate is 1% to 2%. Now, this is from official data sources, okay? The opt-out rate, I agree with. If you get anything more than 2%, you're doing something massively wrong. If you're doing anything under 1%, you're doing great. And I know a lot of people doing great under 1%. Like they don't get any opt-outs at all. The average click-through rate, I've seen people as low as 10%. Like when you send out really bad messages, the example that I gave you, you don't expect a high click-through rate. You know, like the call to action just sucks. They broke it down. Like if the call to action sucks, like the click-through rate is dependent on that call to action and the message that you've sent, right? So I've seen consistently people getting a 10% rate, and that's bad because you're sending bad messages. So if you want to be in the average click-through rate part, 21%, 36% is good. Now, if you send a very personalized message, you'll see up to like 50, 60% click-through rate, very high click-through rates. Same thing goes with the response rates, by the way. Response rates, the average is 20% to 45%, but our SMS campaigns and our clients that we've seen that do the best, dude, they had like 45, 50, 60% response rates, like very high. And that's just because it was very personalized. It's the same response rate you get if you're sending it yourself, right? And we've seen people get the same response rate while messaging on WhatsApp. As long as it's personalized, there's a very high response rate. But as long as you're between 20 to 45% in terms of response rate, you're fine. I would urge you, if you follow the basics, what I've taught here in terms of using ammo, sending personalized messages, I'm not kidding, just doing that will keep you at the 45, 50% range. You won't even fall down 20%. And yeah, so these are the averages. If you're ever underneath, under the lower amount, then you're doing really bad. If you're above the higher limit, then you're doing great. Like I said, as far as the response rate goes, you have to be at 40. Like industry average is 20% to 45%, but you want to be at 45, 50%. Like just make it more personalized, and that's where you're going to be at. So now I want to get into how to get the best results, hands down. Okay, and I'm going to share this as a full screen. Okay, because this is very important. Okay. Now, before I go into this, can you, I want to ask you, are you guys focused? Are you guys paying attention? Drop a 1 in the chat. I just want to know, are you guys paying attention? Let's drop a 1, because what I'm about to drop here is crazy. Okay, a lot of 1s coming in. Okay, so the way you get the best results in the industry, number 1, okay, you have to test. Okay. Number 2, you have to test. Number 3, you have to test. You seriously freaking have to test. Okay, here's the deal. I run Duck CRO. We are a conversion rate optimization company. We build tools specifically for conversion rate optimization. You know how you do conversion rate optimization, how you get the best results in the industry, like how you max out your campaigns? By doing the basics, you add the fundamentals in, the things you need to be doing, right? Having urgency, all these different things. And then you just continuously test what's working against a slight change of itself. So if you're going to send a campaign out, right? Say you have a specific message, right? You get a list, right? The segmented list, from your data, whatever you segmented it. You're sending a message out. 50% get this one text. 50% get the same text with a slight difference, maybe in the wording, maybe in the offer, maybe in how it's structured in 1 or 2 messages. And you're not going to see a significant difference in the response rate, right? It's a very small change that you're going to do. But you can see over 100 or 200 messages, which one is a winner, and that's just chosen as a winner. And then you make another small change, and then you see which wins over 100, 200 messages, and then that becomes a winner. Whatever's a winner continues going on, right? The original could be a winner. The change that you made might not be the best, so you keep that and you make another change, and that is how you improve. That's how you optimize your conversion rates. So you apply the fundamentals, and then you continuously test against each other. So, and don't be afraid of testing. I used to be afraid of testing. Like, I made this change, but like, I know this is working. Why don't I just send all the traffic to this? But the thing is, that only happens if you're making massive changes between the two things. The variance should have very tiny changes, and you should just continuously optimize by making tiny changes, choosing a winner, making tiny change, choosing a winner, and you should never stop testing. I've seen campaigns of these multi-million-dollar companies, and in their funnels, none of their funnels are ever not A/B testing. Every single funnel is A/B testing, 50% going here, 50. Like, it was interesting. Like, I'm like, dude, didn't you say this version won? Like, you told me about how like this change was great. Why are you still testing it? Oh no, because we continuously test. And some of the greats in the industry used to mention this back in the day, and I never understood it. Like, I was a student of Sam Ovens, and he's like, oh yeah, when I started, I just had one funnel, and till today, I have the same funnel. And I was like, he's like, we don't do multiple funnels, just one funnel. And it's just, yeah, you just kept on optimizing. You put the basics in, and then you optimize the small stuff until you get a really powerful thing on at the end of it. But yeah, so in order to get the best results, you want to test, don't spam on purpose, and don't sound spammy. Some people just sound spammy, like the text I showed you. It's kind of spam. It's like, it just take. I come in for a cleaning. You're not giving me anything. You're not giving me an incentive, like a 20% discount. You're also not caring about whether I even need dental cleaning, right? I might have a toothache. Like, talk about that, right? So test, don't spam, and don't sound spammy. And that's about it. Q&A. And you have any questions I can answer? Let me just see here.
Yeah, if anyone's got any questions, pop them in there, or unmute if you want to ask Mo something while he's here. I think there was it makes me think that we need to do more testing as well, because I look at that and I know those things, and we do look at it, and you can get complacent, I guess, with things. They sit in place, and you go, oh, that's working. So, but it's the little tweaks over time, isn't it, that really make the difference.
Yep.
Mo, it's Peter here. Do you use GHL automations with your testing and A/B testing? So even down to your actual texts or SMSs that you actually send, do you try various different variants in that automation? So basically A/B testing of the initial question?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the thing is, when you're sending out the initial question, for example, right? If you make a tiny change to that, switch like change it grammatically. Say the same thing, but in different. The words are in different orders. In order, it's the same words, maybe one or two are next to each other, right? Or how you say the name of the person. So it's like, hey Mo versus hello Mo, right? You can test those things out. It serves the same purpose. It's not going to make a massive difference in response rate, that one word, but it will tell you which one is better against each other to then optimize more. Does that make sense?
Yep. So do you use GHL to actually record the responses as well back in the conversations, taking that one of hi versus hello? Or
yeah,
50%.
So we don't. I just want to clarify. Yeah, we don't look at the responses itself, but yeah, the response rate, the rate at which people have responded to those texts over, and we don't look at it unless it's 200 people that we've sent the text out. Otherwise, it's too few texts to even observe in terms of response rate. So we look at the response rates over a minimum of 200 SMSs that we sent out, right? It's usually like 100 each, and we just see which one got a better response rate.
We have a whole in our snapshot, we have a split test workflow in our database reactivations, Peter. I don't know if you've seen that or not, but if you have a look in our support desk, you'll see in the snapshots there's a workflow all built out with multi-split testing in there.
That's great, Gary. Yeah, I will have a look at that.
No worries. Artem, you did have your hand up. You popped it
Yeah,
down.
I mean, my question was really technically, how do you run the A/B testing? Do you just copy across the automation, run against 100 for for one of them and another 100 with another one, and then measure the results? Or if you said you already have a split testing inbuilt, I mean, my question is the tracking, right? The reporting. How do you measure that? Unless it's already inbuilt. I haven't checked it out yet, Gary, but I'll definitely look into that. But
Let me
what did you
just-
find, Mo, in terms of, you know, technically
So-
how to make it happen? I mean, great idea. Absolutely agree. I mean, I'm coming from BA experience. We always validate and test. But technically, how do you make it efficient and scalable?
Yeah, you're not gonna like my answer because it's not very scalable unless
Right.
it's me, because I overcomplicate stuff. So anything that Gary has is probably 10 times better than me. We like to do things that are ad hoc. So we have custom tags that we would tag based on responses of a specific campaign. And then so everyone gets tagged a certain thing in a certain campaign, and then everyone that responds gets tagged. So for example, in one campaign, we send out texts and everyone's tagged initially as campaign 1, right? 100 people get tagged campaign 1. When people respond to that campaign, they get tagged as what do you call responded. So if someone has campaign 1 responded versus campaign 2 responded, we see again very bad stuff. We used to do it with custom fields with numbers in it. It's not the best. So anything Gary has is probably way more advanced.
Yeah, I don't know about that because I know what you mean. Like you're tagging and removing tags. Like we use easy buttons now instead of tags because we found tags could get maybe that's probably for another another live. I was just going to share my screen quickly, Artem and Peter. I'll just show you quickly because this is all in our snapshot. And I'll just grab this here before I get to there. Let me just share my screen over here quickly. All right. So this snapshot is in our knowledge base. So if you just go to knowledge base, look for the snapshot, you can download that from here. We have in there Google reviews, missed call text back on landlines, unsubscribing, drip campaign template, and that's this one. We've got voicemail drops, updating time zones. That's an important one. Guys might not realize that, but sometimes depending on where you're getting your people from or your contacts, the time zones we've found this, the time zones don't always get updated correctly in high level. It mixes up their IP addresses, doesn't know where they are. So we've got an updated time zones one. So based on the country code, you can update their time zone to make sure that you are sending their messages at the right time, which goes back to Mo's point earlier about, when do you want to send them for the best open rates and stuff like that. But also for SMS, if you're sending out a campaign, you don't want to be sending it at midnight. Those automated ones where someone's opted in, that's fine because they're awake, they just opted in. You don't want to be sending them an offer or asking them how their toothache is at 1 a.m. If you've got their time zone set wrong. So that's quite a good one to have. So there's videos on all of those. And then the snapshot I was just going to show you, the workflow I was going to show you quickly. So this one's a split testing one, which is in there. So we've got different paths A, B, C, D. And then to your question, Arthur, so once that's been running, I won't go through all the different points in there, but once that's been running, you can just put on the stats view, and then you can see here.
Oh, I didn't even know they had this. I'm
there you
so
go.
behind. I didn't even know they had this. Yeah, this changes things. But yeah.
Well, there you go. So you put that on, and you can just look there, and you can go, okay, well, how many delivered, how many clicked, how many failed, and then you can just kind of get some data through there.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. So that's all.
Yep,
We've got a whole bunch of that stuff already
Yeah, awesome. Thanks a
filled
lot,
out for
Gary.
you guys. Grab the snapshot, high level, of providing the rest at the end of the day with stats and stuff. So,
Cool.
Gary, do you actually, is there any way of recording that they've responded? I saw that there was clicked, but does it actually, if they've responded, is there any way that we can get that stat?
if they've replied to the actual message, I'm not sure.
So
We can
the
look.
way the way we've been doing it so far is there's a trigger in the thing. I don't know if it's in stats, but because someone else mentioned in this chat, Carrie, about logging responses and using the trigger as customer replied. This is what we've been doing. We don't log responses in Sheets. I think it would get too messy because we don't need to know the content of the responses, but number. Yeah, so you're logging the number of responses. My bad. You can do that by just separating smart lists. The way you've tagged them, you can actually go in and see the total number. It's, in my opinion, 10 times easier. But yeah.
You'd be able to put in the workflow there as well. This is a way that you could do it. So it's making me think on the fly here too. Yeah, if you you could run a tag through here and just say tag message 1, tag message 2, tag message 3, and then you could have another workflow that would add that up. So customer replied SMS and equals tag 1, and just have a count and add them up. Right. So that's a way that you could do it.
Yep.
It's probably
Exactly. I wish it was as easy as the email stats. Email, like you just click on it, you can see the stats of people responded and stuff, which is way easy.
Absolutely. And high level will probably build it one day.
Yeah, there's probably 50 different ways that you could figure it out with a workflow, but that's just one of them.
I just want to get to Jennifer's question. What is your take on sending mass QA text after you've hit leads with a few sales or marketing type texts? So you're talking about like quality assurance text. Okay, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So for example, you've hit them with a couple of, texts on, I don't know, whatever it's like the latest vehicle for Mitsubishi, whatever, 2024, whatever. And they've raised their hand and they said, yes, they're interested. So, send them a list or whatever. And then, so they go cold, right? And then you kind of want to reactivate them. And so you send them a QA text saying, hey, the last few weeks or the last few months, you showed some interest in blah, blah, blah. Did anyone ever get back to you? Did you get the information that you needed? Because it's coming from a different place psychologically. So it's not from the sales marketing, level.
So what's interesting is I thought the same way like 3 or 4 years ago, kind of coming at them as from the side rather than approaching them as an offer to the face, like asking for a sale. The truth is, two things here. That doesn't work. We tested it. I by the way, I thought I was genius. I was like, what if we just said, how are you doing? Like, I'm the manager or whatever. It didn't work. So that's one. It didn't end up working. But number two is what you mentioned prior to the QA text, which is sending out this text that's pitching a Mitsubishi campaign, Mitsubishi, whatever. That stuff, number one, needs to be dialed down, right? Like it can't be a mass pitch. But if someone does say yes, right, and they go cold, you need to get back to the pain of like what they were like, whatever that ammo you have on them. So if the ammo that you have on them is the interest in the car, right, you get back to them on like, hey, are you still looking for a car? Are you still looking for that, looking for a new car? Are you still interested in the Mitsubishi? But a better question is, are you still looking for a car? Are you still in the market for a car? Because that just goes directly to where they're at. If they say yes, because I'll tell you this much, I've had a hard time finding cars. Like a lot of times when you're dealing with Toyotas or whatever, they're sold out in Canada. So if someone was to text me that had my information and they're like, hey, are you still looking for that Toyota? Like I would respond back because it took me months to buy a car, at least a good car that I wanted. It was all sold out. So that the contextual text matters.
Right. And you were talking about kind of twisting the message a little. So would it make sense to send out a different text saying, are you still looking to upgrade your vehicle from a person who's looking to replace?
Yeah, if you're comparing the two, which is, like if you're doing like, are you looking to replace a vehicle? And then are you looking to upgrade a vehicle? Great test right there. But if you were saying, hey, are you still in the market for a new car? Are you still looking for a new car versus are you looking to upgrade a car? I would kind of say that's still a bit too far from each other because it's more than a one word difference.
I see. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Kerry, you got your hand up, mate?
Yeah. Well, thanks for the information on here. We were just wondering, or I was just wondering, do you have any meaty examples of actual case studies of like database reactivation or nurturing campaigns that you've seen successfully run? So like, this was the outgoing message and this is what worked, this is what not. So you have any examples that I could chew on and take a look at, or like
So
spin ideas off of?
yeah, so I don't have any immediate ones just because this presentation was made like an hour before hopping on. If I had more time, I would have found some case studies that I'm allowed to use, and I would have shown you them. But I did tell Gary that about in 2 weeks, I'm gonna share a workflow that you guys can kind of build off of. It might take me up to 2 weeks to deliver that, and then I could also add in some case studies so you know what things look like, or the example text messages that get certain type of results. But what's it called? For now, if you're going to take one thing away from this, is to focus on the basics, which is like getting people to like prompt a response versus an immediate pitch, right? Having a conversation, giving them a reason to come back in rather than, hey, you're due for a dental cleaning. Just understanding those basics of copy can get you going. But in about 2 weeks or so, I could get you I'm going to be giving you guys a workflow. I haven't mentioned this, but I can also include the case studies of example messages that had gone out and gone through certain responses, split test responses as well. Yep.
Awesome. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks. Yeah, that was great. Thanks so much.
Okay. Well,
Uh,
that's clapping hands, is it, Artem?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Thanks
I don't
a
know
lot.
all the different things in
Thanks,
there.
Mo.
Do we have any more, or we just pretty much hit our time limits? And
I've got one more question for Mo. It's Peter here again. Mo, thank you for that workflow, and thank you for today's webinar. Do you offer coaching / support? Probably a pitch to you. Can we actually get you, or
yeah,
services?
I actually,
Obviously, you've got GHL
yeah.
Essentials, and you've got
yeah, Duck CRO.
do you want
Yeah.
to drop your deets in the chat here for Peter, Mo, and we'll put them we'll put them when this is finished going live. We'll put your links to JHL Essentials and stuff with the
Yeah.
conversation.
So I want to clarify, I
here.
actually don't offer coaching, and I'm actually not the best person to come to for SMS marketing coaching, because there are better people you can pay money to than someone that has a different day job, I guess. You want to pay to someone that has a full-time job and helping you guys out with campaigns. And there are plenty of people in the high-level world that you could probably find they're experts. I personally only know email experts. I'm not very clear on SMS experts, but they do exist, and they're amazing. So I'll try to see who's in my network that I could point you to in terms of like specific coaching for this. A lot of the stuff that's discussed in this presentation were basics that I've seen over time to work over and over. And that's the conversion rate optimization part, clients that I've seen. And so yeah, I just want to hop on because me and Gary were having a conversation 2 days ago. He's like, I'm doing my weekly live. Would you like to hop on? And that's why I'm here. That's why I had to make the presentation pretty quickly. But no, I do not offer coaching or offer this as a service at all, if that makes sense.
Yeah, thanks for that.
But I'll try to shoot someone over to Gary, and maybe he can bring them on the live, because they're better experts out there than me.
Yeah, we've got some other people we're trying to get on here. I keep trying to get Rob. He's too busy. Rob Bailey. He's too busy.
Right, Rob Bailey. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, Rob, if you're listening to this, everyone just tag Rob and say, Rob, we need to come on here. So if you're watching this or watching the live, tag Rob Bailey in the comments. All you guys, tag Rob, because he's in this group. Just go, Rob, can you come and do a live with Gary, please? We would love you on here. So Rob, come on. So guys, let's tag him heaps of times in this. Everybody in the comments, please.
So is that on the Facebook?
Sorry?
Do that? Where do we do that?
Tag him in our group in the Maestro. He's in our group. He's in there. I've had plenty. I've had a good few conversations with him, but I think he's too busy enjoying himself on holiday with his wife.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's important.
Fair play to him. Fair play. But
cool. I want to answer Jennifer's question. Do you have a process to utilize AI to create compelling text messages? Have you tried it? So I've used AI, and honestly, like how you said, everything moves too fast. AI it's overcomplicated SMS for me. So I've tried to use AI to get like good copy, or write this SMS in David Ogilvy style or Russell Brunson style. It gives you good copy, but I personally have not noticed it make a significant difference in what I've done. But if any AI people are watching this, they'll literally throw rocks at me and stones at me because they promise that I'm not using the right prompts, which I'm sure I'm not, right? I'm sure I'm not using the right prompts, but it's also, like I said, it's not something I do full time where I'm, testing, drip campaigns. But I'm sure AI could work. I personally have not found it to work.
I've got Jonathan Mast, who is an AI guru, who is going to come in a couple of weeks' time, and he is actually going to be doing a AI prompt for us that people can use for that. So we've got an AI guru coming in to do that in a couple of weeks' time.
And Jonathan is very well known for what he does, so he'll be great in helping you with the AI part 100%.
Yeah, so that'd be really cool. So I'm excited. We're sort of working that out with him at the moment. I'm going to chat to him later in the week, and he's going to put together a couple of example prompts that people can use. So amazing.
Also, I just want to give you a tip on AI. We have had AI work at a large scale, but the problem with it was basically what we ended up doing was the reason why it worked for us, and it also didn't work because it ultimately broke based on responses. But where it did work, it was us forcing it to respond to the people the way we wanted to respond. So a lot of the basically it would overcomplicate messages, and we'd have to we'd have to put in the prompt to keep it simple, keep it to one line or two lines, and ultimately it would end up breaking based on specific responses. But we did test it; it did work in terms of speak to lead. Like if we're out about, we're not responding to SMSs that have come in, the AI had the ability to know what the person's saying as opposed to a regular drip campaign, right? They got the context and were able to reply with that. With it back, but we had to go wrong many different times.
All right, cool.
We used to call it goofy AI.
We've had an AI bot. We just call her Drunk Allison sometimes. She thinks she's just on the vodka.
Yeah.
All right. Well, look, Mo, thank you so much for your time. If there's any other questions there? Christine uses Jasper a lot for campaigns. It's pretty good. Awesome. All right. I think we're done with the questions there. Thank you so much, Mo, for your time. We'll connect anyway, and when that other thing is ready, we can share that. Or if you want to come back on, by all means, you can come back on and share that with everybody. But we'll just keep in touch over the next couple of weeks when that thing's ready to go and share that with everybody. So thank you so much for coming on, mate. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
Thanks, Gary. Thanks,
Thank you, everyone.